First, let me tender the apologies of His Excellency the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, who is at the moment out of the country on a national assignment. I represent him, and this speech is read on his behalf. But I also congratulate everyone in my capacity as the supervising authority over the National Institute. I want to say that this institute represents not just the best traditions in policy and strategic studies, but has also managed to attract some of the best minds that this country has. I've had time to look at the CVs of many who are here and just reflecting over that. Our country certainly has all the talents that it needs to be truly great. And I just want to charge you all, as a personal charge, that this is the time for our nation to truly make a change. And a lot of that will be driven by men and women like yourselves, who are the intellectual bastions of our democracy and of our nation. I certainly expect that you will do your utmost to lift this country from where it is to the heights where we rightly belong. Thank you. I'll go to the speech. I'm delighted to be with you this morning on the occasion of the graduation ceremony of the Senior Executive Course number 37 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, our nation's foremost policy and strategic institution. Since its establishment 36 years ago, NIPSS has been the intellectual and policy melting pot for several high-caliber technocrats, private sector leaders, and public policy intellectuals. I commend the National Institute for its consistently high quality of teaching and research, as evidenced in the quality of research and policy outputs of the Institute in the past 3 decades. I'm pleased to note also that the Institute is graduating a set of 63 participants today, a number reduced by the unfortunate loss of a member of the course, Colonel John Ekperari. Please accept my sincere condolence. May his soul rest in peace. Amen. I understand that the graduating participants have already started defining their character as a group by the donation of a language laboratory to the National Institute and dedicating it to the memory of their departed colleagues. That is commendable and lofty. That is commendable and lofty indeed. Your Excellencies, members of the National Institute, Nigeria is on the rise again. Despite serious security and economic challenges, we are already tackling these several security challenges that have hindered our progress and our overall national development. Sustainable security and socioeconomic well-being of Nigerians continues to be the abiding principle of our administration's priorities. Let me reiterate that the Boko Haram terrorism, as well as their ideology, will soon be defeated and consigned to history. This is both fact and the moral logic of history, that good will ultimately be victorious over evil. We are rapidly degrading their defensive and offensive capabilities, and their end is near. However, the more crucial task confronts us. It is the task of defeating the false and evil ideology of violent extremism. I have, in the course of my inauguration address in May, promised to commission an independent study on terrorist insurgencies in our nation. And I hereby charge the National Institute to come up with a set of proposals for the comprehensive study of not just the Boko Haram insurgency, but all other insurgencies and all other strains of violent extremism in our nation, with a view to forestalling future occurrence. We need to build the civic capacity to defeat the false and dangerous premises and rhetoric of violent extremism. Never again should we allow mindless violence inspired by false and evil precepts to threaten our national security. Let me again call on persons or groups in the country who have some grievance or dissatisfaction to submit to peaceful and democratic means of expressing themselves. Your right to protest is limited by the rights of others to safety and peaceful existence. We can offer our contrary opinions without violating the laws of the land or threatening law and order. Your Excellencies, members of the National Institute, these being a gathering of policy intellectuals, perhaps it may be appropriate to raise a few issues for your consideration. The first is the need to more closely interrogate the relevance of our economic planning and public policy framework. For instance, we need to challenge policy assumptions that do not integrate the vast majority of our people into socio-economic and budgetary planning by government. As this administration is already doing, we need to ensure that policy is always rooted in the needs and conditions of the millions of our people who are extremely poor and who do not stand a chance if we continue to drive policy based only on GDP figures without attention to job creation, poverty reduction, and opportunities created for the majority to live decently. I received the report of this graduating set a few days ago. Its theme is repositioning Nigeria's educational system for global competitiveness. It was insightful, practical, and solution-oriented. I again commend all of those who participated in that write-up, and in particular, the entire set. Our government recognizes the critical importance of education to the attainment of our national goals. The future belongs to the knowledgeable. The opportunities and challenges that confront every generation have the solutions and answers within those spaces and times. Those who will surmount those generational challenges and take advantage of the opportunities must have the intellectual presence of mind and the resourcefulness to do so. While accepting that our educational system is in a dangerously parlous state, the solutions are obvious, even if not easy. We have to focus on early childhood education. We have to retrain teachers, ensure that our curricula will prepare our children for the challenges of the 21st century. Our curricula must encourage inquiry and creative thinking. In addition, we are giving a lot of attention to technical vocational education and training, in short, TVET, which would provide skilled manpower for rapid socio-economic development. It would impart the required skills and competencies, leading to the production of artisans and technicians who will be enterprising and self-reliant, thus propelling industrialization, generating employment, and reducing poverty. It is clear that governments cannot fund education alone. The private sector equally has very important roles to play. This is the sure way of repositioning our educational system for global competitiveness. Tertiary institutions must again become the real drivers of innovation that is relevant to industry and commerce. Research success will in turn attract funding. There is no limit to what heights are attainable with creativity, innovation, and hard work. The Vice President has briefed me concerning some of the challenges facing the National Institute. I'm pleased to inform you that we're addressing them. We're already attending to the review of the Act establishing the National Institute to fully realize its mandate. We're also putting in place a competitive salary structure and conditions of service to attract, retain, and motivate staff. In addition, we're putting in motion steps to guarantee more assured funding. Of course, these need to go along with the efforts of the National Institute to attract funding through policy research and consultancy. With regard to the latter, let me commend some of the Institute's partners for their support and commitment. I want to particularly thank the United Nations Development Programme, the UNDP, Democracy for Governance and Development 2, for its continued collaboration with and support to the Political Parties Leadership and Policy Development Center of the National Institute. This is a very important center for the political development of our country. I urge all political parties to utilize and sustain this center. We will support the center with funding to enable it to realize its full potential. I wish also to commend the National Stability Reconciliation Program, NSRP, for their funding of the Eminent and Expert Group Meetings, EEGM, which have now become an annual event. I urge other funding agencies to partner with our apex national institutions to enrich our national policies and strategies. I note with satisfaction the support that the Institute support is not limited to international organizations. It is gratifying to acknowledge the support by the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, the NDIC, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, as well as the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria for their contributions to the National Institute in the area of infrastructure. I urge many others, especially in the private sector, to emulate them. Finally, Your Excellencies, members of the National Institute, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to congratulate the newest members of the Institute for the successful completion of their program. I implore you to deploy your knowledge to the benefit of this country. In this room, we have the cream of Nigeria's leadership and some of the great ideas and thoughts that can define the future of our nation. But we have never lacked talent and drive as a nation. What appears to have eluded our leadership is a strength of character that makes it possible for us to put nation before self. Selflessness, the capacity for self-denial for the sake of country, the openness of conscience that makes a public officer refuse to steal public funds because corruption directly causes the poverty of millions. Selflessness, the motto of this great institute towards a better society, speaks to that elevated attribute. Societies succeed because its citizens, especially its elite, are prepared to make sacrifices. Let us from this day move towards that better society. Thank you.